As long as you are convinced you have never done anything, you can never do anything. Malcolm X. Welcome to the We Don't Believe You podcast series. Our mission is to neutralize and dispel the false narratives, negative images, and disparaging stereotypes that have been perpetuated about Black people through various media outlets for centuries. Each week, we will highlight stories of Black excellence, greatness, and success of the past, present, and future, all of which share one common trait. They chose not to believe the negative images or stereotypes that said they couldn't succeed, but instead achieved massive success in spite of them. And now, here's your host, Brian McCoy.
Peace, and welcome to another episode of the We Don't Believe You podcast series, where our mission is to dispel and to reverse the false negative narratives and negative stereotypes that have been perpetuated about Black people in America for centuries. We do this by highlighting positive Black images of individuals who chose not to believe those false narratives, but instead chose to succeed in spite of them. Our next guest is the embodiment of this principle. She obtained an associate's degree in applied science, an associate's degree of applied science in interior design from Wake Tech Community College in North Carolina, and has worked in the interior design industry for years before launching her own interior design business. She's a mother, an artist, an interior designer, an entrepreneur, and most importantly, a beautiful human being inside and out. Please welcome co-founder, president, and CEO, and lead designer of Butterfly Concepts Interior Design. Please welcome Miss Veronica Brown.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So your work and accomplishments in the field of interior design are no less than a testament to the value of determination, ambition, drive, and passion. So let's start from the beginning to see where all of that came from. So where were you born and raised?
I was born in Suffolk, Virginia until I was about 2, and then raised in Chicago, Illinois until I was about 6.
Okay.
And then went back to Virginia again after then.
So you were kind of born and raised, you were born in Suffolk, Virginia, raised in Suffolk, Virginia, and part Chicago.
Correct.
Do you have many memories of Chicago, or you were too little?
I have a few. Some of them were walking to school through the field. And then a couple were playing at the playground, protecting my younger siblings. And then having to walk in high levels of snow in Chicago.
Oh, so you have how old were you when you left Chicago?
I left Chicago around 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, okay. So you would have like little kid memories of Chicago.
Mm-hmm. I do.
All right. So Suffolk, Virginia. For some reason, is that Hampton Roads?
That is where the Chicago, Chesapeake, not Chicago, what am I saying? Chesapeake, Portsmouth, Norfolk, the 7 C's, the seven cities of just that area, like Virginia Beach. So you got Virginia Beach, you have Portsmouth, you have Richmond, Norfolk, those 7 C's area.
Okay. So tell us about the city and describe the city. Describe Suffolk, Virginia for those who've never been.
It's small. It's small. It's growing up there, I never saw a bus. We had to walk to everything.
So it's really small.
It's really small. Yeah. Growing up there, I never rode on a bus. My transportation was on feet. There were a lot of just, I would say, rundown buildings. But It was very small. If we had to do anything, we had to go out of Suffolk to go to the movies, to go to the mall.
Oh,
There was nothing that was up and coming until late 2021, 22.
so it's that type of town. You got to go to someplace else to go to the movies.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. We didn't have a movie theater or a mall.
So what was it like growing up there? Sounds like it was interesting growing up there.
You made do with your friends. It was more so just hanging out with your friends, being in the house, watching movies, making the best of being together as a unit.
So how was the actual neighborhood in Suffolk that you grew up in? Was it? So would you?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What describe the neighborhood you grew up in?
There wasn't much to do, so a lot of people and some of the kids got in trouble because they didn't have any other outlets as far as being in any performing arts or things of that nature to keep them occupied without having to be in trouble, running the streets, getting in gangs, just doing whatever stupidly because they didn't have anything else to do. So that's kind of the neighborhood.
So would you describe it as a suburb?
Yes. Well,
or the hood? Would you say it was the hood you grew up in?
It was a hood. It was a hood. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what would you say? Would you say just in terms of how you grew up? Would you say you grew up wealthy, middle class, poor?
I would say poor. I would definitely say poor only because we had to use the sources that provide food for us. That, when you're on food stamps and you're on welfare and you're on using all of the resources that the system gave you to be able to live in the area, to be able to function. So we were on those things. We were on those things.
Oh, okay. How would you say that's impacted you, like in your perspective or take on the world now? Was it, yeah.
So with that being said, I didn't want to have to lean on those things in order to live. For someone to tell me what to do, for someone to tell me I can't do this because you're in this bracket, for someone to tell me that you don't qualify for something, or that you got to go stand in the back, or you got to wait your turn. Those type of things. I want to be able to not have to go through those. So I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be one of them. The older I get, I'm definitely not going to have to do that at all.
So it was motivation for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. And then also to see what my mom had to go through in order to provide for us, in order to get even just the little simple things. She just had to go through a lot of hoops, a whole lot of providing certain paperwork that just didn't make sense. So why do you need that paperwork? I mean, she's a single parent with all of these kids. So that should be the most important thing. And so it was just, they took you through a lot of hoops. They took you through a lot of hoops in order for you to maintain your household. It was motivation, definitely. A lot of tears, a lot of setbacks, those natures and things are almost being without lights because you have to look at for someone else for that help. When, yes, she worked, but because it wasn't in a certain, I guess, like bracket, or they even ranked you by your neighborhood that you were from, your zip code and stuff like that. I mean, they kind of still do that now, but she was just stuck there. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
Okay. And how many siblings did you have? Like, how many people grew up in your household?
I'm the oldest out of 5.
Okay. What's the range between the youngest and you?
I am about to be 50.
Happy birthday.
couple months. Thank you. And so everybody, I would say the youngest now is about 32.
Oh,
So
okay.
in between, there's the ranking of others.
So
Yeah.
describe what it was like actually growing up in your household, like the day-to-day growing up in your household.
I was a sister and a mom. I was a sister and the mom. My mom worked multiple jobs in order to make sure that she could do without having to be in those lines and asking for those services. And so getting home from school, I'm the one making sure that they change their clothes and get fed, make sure homework is done, make sure bedtime is on time, getting them up in the morning if she had a late night working and she wasn't up already. Just me being a mom and a sister. So it wasn't hard at all because I loved them that much to make sure that they were okay as well, to make sure that they had what they wanted, to make sure that they was taken care of. Yeah.
So growing up in your household, was education and like you got to go to school and you got to do well in school, was that something that was emphasized, or she worked and you guys just knew what to do?
Oh, she works, but she also put in her little nuggets of how she wanted us to be rounded. She was not a mother who had graduated from high school. She had me early in her teens. And so she also was lacking some educational that she could have taught us on how to do once we got older, or certain mathematic problems that she hadn't gotten to or learned when she was in high school. She knew more of like common sense of what she went through, to make sure that we didn't have to go through the same thing. So make sure that you get your lesson done. Make sure that you be aware of this. Make sure that you are taken care of by this. It was life lessons.
Survival.
Survival than more of an education. She wanted us to also get that education. And because she did that and wanted that for us so much, I actually was the one that ended up going, the only one out of my siblings to go to college, and the first one to go to college really out of my family.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was determined to make sure that all the words and things that she said did not go in vain. And at least someone was listening. But not only that, I still wanted to improve myself. I still wanted to learn. I still wanted to move forward. I didn't want to be stuck in this box of that I couldn't go anywhere else, or there was nothing else for me. I was getting out of that box. I was getting up out of there.
You grew up determined.
Oh, yeah.
From day one, It kind of sounds like.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
So did you, now you mentioned that your mother was a single mother raised all of you guys.
Raised all of us.
What impact do you think that had on you in terms of how did you know your father, or how did that work?
I heard that at the age of 2, she left him, divorced him. And when I was about 17, 18, I found out where he lived, who he was, and I wanted to meet him. Younger, I didn't have a face or a name or a figure of a body of him at all until I actually knew at 17 or 18 where he lived, which he still lived in the same city. He lived actually down, I wouldn't say down the road, but a couple blocks, or I would say 10 minutes away from my own house that I was living in. He was remarried. He had additional children, but they weren't by him. And also in the process of finding out who he was and where he lived, I also met an older sister. We had the same father, but different mothers. And by doing that, I wanted to know him. I wanted to know him. I wanted to know who he was. I wanted to know all about him. So a lot of people say, you look like your father, you're in that family. I'm just like, really? Wow. I've never known that. So I wanted to know this man. And so told my mom, and she was like, go visit him. Go visit him. Went there, most handsome man I've ever met. And we just talked for a little while. It wasn't the most inviting time, first meeting him, because of course he was with his new wife, and she, I guess, kind of figured that we were coming in to disrupt. And no, I just wanted to meet him. Just wanted to meet him. And at that time was also I wouldn't say my very last time meeting him. I sat with him for 2 more times after I had my child. We met, but it wasn't at his home. It was at a restaurant. And after that, I didn't see him again, and he actually passed away.
My condolences.
So yeah. Yeah, thanks.
So it's possible that you walked past him in town
Possibly.
as a child and just never even knew.
Yep, possibly.
So growing up, did you think about him, or did you wonder as you were growing up, or?
Because there were no conversations, there were no pictures, there were no remembrance of him for me to see or hear about. Just wasn't.
Okay.
Nope.
Do you think that him not being there, I guess that's really hard to answer, because you'd have to go back and live without him again to know the difference. But
yeah,
if you could speculate, would you say that everything affects us every way? How do you think that impacted you, though, now? And how do you think that impacted how you view men in general now?
Him not being there did not impact me much. I just always learned things from my mom, watching how she moved, watching how she interacted with her friends, male friends. It just made me know what not to do and what to do and what to look for and what to stay away from, those of that nature. But as far as me saying that I miss him, and because I don't have my father, I'm going to do this, or no. He just it didn't impact me because I didn't have a father.
Oh.
My mom was my main source.
Main supply.
She was real tough now. She was tough. And she didn't really let us get away with a lot of things. She had us reined in, and when she said, okay, do such and such, or let me meet this person, she was on it. She was definitely on it.
Oh, okay.
So I can't say that not having him was a prime influence on how I look at men. If you love me, if you are willing to, if you're there to take care, if you're a connection with me, then those are kind of some of the things that I look for. Don't try to hurt me. Don't try to harm me. Those things.
Okay. So did you grow up, you're obviously in a very artistic and creative industry. Did you grow up in an artistic household?
Actually, I did not.
So where did it come
from? Going to art class, being in culinary, learning how to sew. I just had that passion for it without even knowing that I had the passion. it was just something that was just there. I always found myself doodling and drawing. And once people would say, "Oh my God, this is good. Like you just drew this?" So yeah. It just was there.
It's just in me.
It was there. Yeah, it was just there. And so then I wanted to just move forward with it in so many different ways you can take that. Because they encouraged me so much of how they liked the drawings and things of that nature, I wanted to own my own art gallery. So
that's that was actually one of my next questions is what did you want to be when you grew up?
Being a person who housed local artists, their artwork, to be able to show other people that even like homeless people have these skills. It doesn't take someone who has already been known for years or is in the magazines or in the spotlights and stuff like that. It's people you would never know or people that you wouldn't think that would make these whole, like beautiful images, beautiful work. And if that can help them, why not introduce them to the world? Then maybe they wouldn't probably be homeless, because now by them being able to present their artwork, someone's going to buy it. They'll get known for.
So you were thinking this like even back then, like even when you were, that's a really beautiful like thing to say. That's
a there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that on our streets. There are a lot of homeless people on our streets. And so my heart went out to them. And so I'm always thinking about how can they, by using their skills and their talents and just something that God gave them, how can we use that? How can that help them?
Beautiful. That's a beautiful thought, especially for a young person to have. So did you, so what would you say are three, and I'm sure there were a lot because you had siblings, and so what were three lessons that you either learned or that were instilled in you growing up that you still carry with you that you think serve you well to this day?
First of all, treat people how you want to be treated. First of all. Second is health and transformation. The transformation part is like, what's my words? The transformation is making something from nothing. Making something from nothing. Making sure people are healthy and do unto others as you would want them to do unto you.
Okay. Beautiful as well. Beautiful again. What would you say, about your high school years where do you always remember yourself being a good student? Did you like school?
I like school. I did. I like school. I consider myself a good student. I was excited about going to those special classes, home ec, workshop, anything that I could use my imagination for. I was ready to go. I was ready to do that. Okay, let's go to the next thing. And I was good in school.
So what do you remember your favorite class being?
Favorite class was art. Favorite class was art, and then next culinary, because I was able to use those recipes and take them home to share and do with my siblings. I knew how to fix that next meal for them. I knew what to not put in there, and they would still eat it. or even if I burnt it, I knew that I still had something for them to be able to eat. I'll just scratch it off. It was a toe scratch off.
Scratch it off.
Scratch it off. But art and then culinary were my two favorite things. And then when it comes down to sewing, I was able to fix holes in the clothes. I was able to know how to thread the needle, all of that stuff. Even though I that's a thing that your mom would be able to teach you, but then too, there were other techniques that were very specific to learning how to stitch and sew and all of that.
Yeah. Okay. So was college, while you were in high school, was college something that you were actually thinking about, or did you graduate from high school and then was like, what do I do now?
Going to high school and thinking about college, I knew that was something that I wanted to do. Didn't know which one I was going to go to, only because I was a C average student. so a lot of those you see on TV watching the Cosbys and stuff like that, it's like going to these Howard and all that. And I'm just like, ooh, it would be nice. And it that's the dream, that our community would be looking for, is to go to those things that you see on TV. But a lot of times when your struggle with the lack of education in the household from your parents to be able to advance you a little more, just wasn't the college that I went to. I went to the college that was you made it, and let's go here to see if we can get you more education.
So college, it wasn't okay. So I get it. And that's a really powerful thing that you just said. So had that emphasis been there on like college, or perhaps had your mother had the exposure, she would have kind of forced you along in that direction.
Yeah, she didn't really force. She just wanted to make sure that we got our education and graduated, because that's what she didn't do. Okay. She didn't graduate. But I wanted to take it further. I wanted to make sure that I could also teach the rest of my siblings.
So how long between when you graduated from high school did you actually begin college or enroll in college?
Your counselor and stuff comes by and say, hey, it's time to, if you're thinking about going, do so. You got to start doing this and you got to start doing that. Because my mom didn't know. So it was the pushing of your counselor. And then they set you on this scale, or, your checklist of what you need to do and what you need to have, and your deadlines. And here can be your options. And go ahead and contact this person and that person or this. So it was the school who kind of pushed us along to making sure that if that's what we wanted to do, then.
So you went right away. You went right out of high school. You went to college.
I did.
Okay. So when did you discover, like along this journey, at what point do you discover that you had a talent for interior design?
So even at home, I was always changing stuff around, furniture, changing just the colors of stuff. And then when I got my own apartment in 2000, every season I would change the color. I was changing furniture around, and my company would come over and it was like, oh my gosh, wasn't this such and such last time? And didn't you have this last time? I was like, yeah. I was like, where did you get that from? I made it. You did not make that. Yeah, I made it. Oh, you got to come to my house and do the same thing, because I don't know what to do with mine. I'm lost with it, girl. You can come to my house and do whatever you want, because this looks good. So I'm like, really? And it was just like, yeah. So I was like, okay, well, thank you. Thought about it. In the meantime, I also studied and got my CNA.
Oh, okay.
And
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were a CNA.
I am a certified nursing assistant. And that was also because my mom and my grandmother was like, you're not putting me in a nursing home. Not at all. So I took that class, got my degree in that, and made sure that I knew all terminology, know how to administer, know how to draw blood and all of that. And so once I did that for them, I was like, what am I going to do for myself? And so I went to school for interior design. I've always been thinking about people first. So then I said, what am I going to do for myself? So I went in for an interior design because I was still always drawing and changing colors and interested in wallpaper, interested in fabrics, interested in furniture, anything unique. I was interested in it. So signed up for interior design, got my degree. Here I am.
Beautiful story. Beautiful story. So at what point do you realize that your like this talent and this passion that you had that you might not have known that you had, but other people were pointing out to you? At what point did you realize I could turn this into a business?
Okay.
Like I could do this.
Yeah. So during my internship in school for interior design, I worked with a company called Karen Sachs. They were a warehouse or they were like a store for fabrics and furniture and wallpaper, paint samples, all of that. I worked for them on the design floor as an associate. And so there was one designer who came in and he went into the little conference room and he unrolled a mansion with all these floors. And I stepped in and asked him, did he need help with anything? And he said, you know what? I sure do. He says, if you could help me out with something. So I said, okay. So he brings me over to the floor plan and he's like, this person has this country style house. They are into these colors. They don't want these colors. They want to, and just jotted everything down, detail to detail. So I said, okay. And he says, I want to know if you could help me go get a couple of samples so that I can see what you have on the floor. Will do. I came back with those things that he mentioned to me as far as the details, the colors, the fabrics, the look that he wanted for the room. And a couple of things he was like, nope, not that one, but I do like this one. And then how about if you can go get me that in this color and maybe with this texture to it, and I'll see what we can work with that. So once he did that, I was like, okay, he's liking it. I'm loving this. Okay. And then one day he came back. He wasn't finished with the house yet. He came back to do something else with the rooms. And I was on lunch. And my manager did not like what he said next. He said that if I was not there for me to continue working with him, he didn't want anyone else to help him. So that, of course, that just like boosted me to the roof because we had an understanding of, and I knew exactly what he was looking for. And he wanted to continue to work with me. Yeah, she didn't like that. And with him saying that, it just boosts my confidence even more to say, I can do this. I can actually do this myself. So here I am to then move forward to it. I said, babe, I think I want to start my own business. And it was like, yeah, what you want to do? Pulled out the computer and was like, what's your name going to be? What? She's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's beautiful.
Do it. Let's do it. She says, I believe in you and I know you can do it. So we started 2017.
And that's funny, man, because like in most stories, that's really the crux of like most successes. Let's do it. Like, let's do it. And I don't want no trouble with Nike or nothing, but yeah, just do it. Is some, yeah, that's powerful. That's a really powerful three words is, yeah, just do it. And that, because I think that's the part where I would say myself included, that's where people get jammed up is in the beginning, is the start. And just do it. So you just did it.
Just did it.
So according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are roughly 67,760 interior designers, people employed as interior designers in the United States. Now, according to Forbes.com, a little less than 2% of that number, and this was as of 2022, but less than 2% of all interior designers are black. Did you know any black interior designers at the time that you said, let's do it?
I did not.
So where'd you get the crazy notion that you were going to be a black interior designer?
Well, truthfully, as I was in school, one of my teachers didn't think that I would even graduate. She could definitely give me a hard time. And so that also pushed me to be determined to show her. I'm gonna show you. So one of those things. And so because I didn't know any or knew who to get advice from or who to look up to during those times, I was like, I'm just gonna be that one. I want to definitely be that one.
So it's like, I think and I'm always trying to like find some kind of wisdom or something in something, but it's like, because you were unaware of the limitations, there were no limitations. Perfect. So what, in your opinion though, of all of the roughly 67,000 interior designers, why are there so few black designers in the industry or the country?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. I would say some of them kind of get discouraged or feel like, and I'm going off of my own feelings when I'm doing networking, when I'm out in the crowd, what I feel or what I've observed, that it's just not the norm. It's just not the norm. And so because they feel or see that it's not the norm, it's just like a back down thing. Like, should I even be here?
Wow.
Like no one is coming to me. They're going to that person who may not even have had I wouldn't even say the credentials, because if you're there to do networking, actually, I can't say that. Some of them may not have the credentials. They're just starting out because they know someone who knows someone who's not, who's not me, who's not of my culture. It's to know someone who knows someone. And so that's how they ended up being there, not going through the classes. And I've had a couple of conversations with people who were like that, who I've gotten to know, that they didn't go through school. It was just word of mouth, and they just knew someone else who was actually a known designer. So yeah.
So what are the barriers to entry if you wanted to be an interior designer? What are some of the requirements, some of the hurdles you have to go through? What are some of the challenges that come along with being a designer or getting into the industry?
To call yourself an interior designer, you have to have or be a professional. You have to get that professional organization, be in a professional organization, which is called the IIDA, Interior Design Association. The international is the Interior Design Association, or the Associated Signs of Interior Design. And then you also have to have your NCIDQ. That's taking the national exam, do 3 written exams and pass those in order to call yourself an interior designer. So that's like a whole exam thing that would take, I would say it would take a lot of time, but in order to get there, you would have to go through those things or be a member of the IIDA or ASID.
So you don't necessarily.
So answer that.
Yeah, no, you did very well. I'll add. Do you have to? So you don't have to go to college to become an interior designer?
To call yourself an interior designer, you have to have that national exam, the NCIDQ.
But a college degree isn't a prerequisite for that, is it?
What I see, like I was saying, doing networking, a lot of people are out here calling themselves interior designers because of knowing who they know.
So are you saying? Are you suggesting that everyone that calls themselves an interior designer is not an interior designer?
They are probably an interior decorator.
Oh, so what's the difference?
Which is not the same thing. Interior decorator only decorate with fabrics and furniture. An interior designer deals with house code, building codes, construction drawings, being able to remove walls, reconfigure kitchens and bathrooms. An interior decorator does not do that. They cannot do that.
So the designer is more intense of
deeper understanding of codes, constructional drawings. But we also can do what a decorator can do, the aesthetics, but the decorator cannot remove walls or reconfigure the function of the flooring and spaces. Just like an interior designer can't do what an architect can do. We can't do what an architect does.
Okay.
That's a whole different level. So it's like architect, interior designer, and then interior decorator.
All right. So would you say that, and I might be like jumping back 2 questions, but would you say that the lack of black designers, and I don't want to confuse myself, but would you say, and I also don't want to put words in your mouth, would you say that there are so few black designers because there are so few black designers?
That's a good question. Thank you.
There
are few black designers that are present. You could probably have some designers that are just not in the spotlight.
So with the lack of, like, because what I'm trying to, I guess, in a weird way, I'm trying to get to, like, I think that sometimes our community, we have challenges doing things because it's not, because we don't see them and we don't see like a lot of black people present in certain industries. I think we sometimes think that it's out of the realm of possibility for us because we don't really see it. And so I'm wondering if that's something, if you think that to be the case in interior design as well.
That could be the case. That very well could be the case. Because if I am in a room and the only black person in the room against 2 other white people in the room, we all have the same credentials. We all came from the same school. We all are graduated at the same time. And I feel as though those 2 would be more of a selection because, like I was saying, it's the norm. It's the norm that they're looking at. What would make me different, as if I hone in my own uniqueness, other than what they were just saying, which is the standard stuff. Say, for instance, standard meaning, you go by the books. But if I am adding my own thing or my own niche to it, as far as using feng shui, okay, but yet they wouldn't use feng shui, then that's what would make me different, to say it's me you want, because I can give you more other than just the standard. But if they don't know that, then again, they would just go for the norm. Giving us the opportunity. That's where it is. The opportunity to show. If you don't give us the opportunity to show that, but you're just going off of walking in a room and say, let me get her. It wouldn't be me.
That's deep. That's deep. So what impact do you think, so like in other words, do you think that the game is missing something because black designers are not in it?
Yeah.
Elaborate.
They're missing our creativity. They're missing what we can introduce them to other than just the regular, style. If we can put our culture in there, it will definitely be something different to bring out.
No, you got it. You hit the nail on the head. Because my next question is, so in a narrower sense, you specifically, what your experience is, your upbringing, your background, relationships, like you as a black woman that grew up in America, what do you add to the game that you would not be able to if you didn't have shared experiences? What do you? So, what is being a black woman in America that grew up in America, that's had the experiences that you've had? What did that do for you that gives you a sense of uniqueness? In other words, what of your experiences allow you to bring to the game that if you didn't grow up like you wouldn't have?
Opening people's eyes to the world. Everything's not perfect. And so if you didn't grow up in a perfect world, you're able to show that and to let them also understand that it's not all glamour. It's not. You can take the rough ruggedness and make it beautiful. That's again my transformation. And so there you have it.
Beautiful. So I like in my house or like my office or in rooms in my house, like I've bought like a couch and curtains and a rug and like all my stuff matches, like the color matches. What stops me from calling myself a designer or a decorator? What am I missing? And what do you do above and beyond that? What does an interior designer do above and beyond, like what the average person thinks they can do?
Okay. So we go deeper into the functioning of everything. We go deeper into portion of sizing. You can have a chair in there, but is that chair also taking up the whole room? Does the chair with the fabric on it, is it going to, when you sit in it, is it going to bleed into anything? Does it attract a lot of lint? We think about a lot of those things, but I get what you're saying as far as the designer versus the decorator. We go into more of sizing, the standard size for stuff. If you get a chair, is it functional for you to be on the floor with it, or do you want to sit upright? Does it fit in the space? Can you move around in it? There's always, is it going to block the door? Because the door has to have a certain amount of space in order to open and close. That's more of, like I said, the creating the functional space of the room. The rug, is it going to be oversized and land up against your wall? You have to know your sizing for that. You can't just go buy a rug and then just say, I'm gonna put this in here because it's the same color my chair. You want to know what's the right size for it. Yes, your curtains, but are your curtains gonna be half the window, or is it gonna be right at the stopping of the window sill? You need to know the measurements of that window. Now, some people don't know that. Some people do not know that. They just say, I want these curtains and I'm just gonna put them in there. Well, if you don't know that, I guess you'll be buying the curtains twice before you figure it out. And that's where we come into play, where we help you save money because we know how to measure things out for you.
So give us the day in the life of an interior designer. So you start a project, You get a new client.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
So we first go in, we look at the room, we look at the space, we get the details of how they want to move about in the room, how they want to feel, how they want it to look, who is going to be in this space, so that we can accommodate it for who's going to be using the space. Okay. Say, for instance, if the person that's coming in and want to use the space, are they in a wheelchair? That's very important, because can they get through the door? Is the reason why they can't get in is because the door is not wide enough. Then that means that's an extra note to put in for some constructional work to be done. We need to then cut some of the wall to make the door ADA. Then we go in and just measure the whole space to make sure that the furniture, that any other things that you want to put in, if you wanted to change the rug the carpet and wanted to have it more mobility for a wheelchair, then we need to know the measurement of the floor, because then we need to talk about flooring being put in so that the wheelchair is easier to roll across the floor. If you wanted to change your lighting, you need new fixtures or what have you. Those details play within the aesthetics, but also the functioning of that space. So once we do that, I then do a design concept. I take it back to my little hub, my desk, and then I draw out everything, making sure that I have the measurements correctly, making sure that if that person who's in a wheelchair has room to turn around, that's definitely important, because you can't have a desk and a chair too close, because that person is not going to be able to get in, get out, move around out of that space. It doesn't make sense. So it has to make sense.
Okay. So it sounds like that's above and beyond the aesthetic aspect of interior design.
It is.
It has to make sense.
It does. It does. For function.
So what are the most challenging aspects to you? Like I said, I'm looking to get into the that industry, interior design industry. What are some of the challenges that I would have to look forward to?
Getting into interior design, definitely have to be willing to be determined. There are going to be a lot of projects that can frustrate you, but be determined to want to know more about it. Another challenge is, trying to think of the challenges that I had. Now here's one. Be willing to, in a team setting, listen to other people's suggestions on a project. So I had a situation where there was a woman that I was on a team with, and she was, we had a diagram that we had to follow, the schematics. And so it had to deal with certain things within the project, but yet she wanted to input everything on the schematic within her own culture. But it was a team thing. So everyone had to be able to discuss why they had put those different things in the schematic or in the design. And it was trying. It was definitely a challenge to be able to work with someone's determination of how they only wanted it one way when it was a team. So be willing to work with the team and knowing that it just can't be one
vision. Well,
one vision.
Because the thing is, it is one vision though, right? But it's like, it's one vision that consists of a lot of different visions.
Well, here's the thing, because if you can't learn that with going into someone else's house, yes, they want it their way because they're living there. So that means you cannot implement your own things into that space because it's not yours. Mm-hmm. It's their home. So you have to learn how to listen to other people's details in order to give them that vision that they want to live in their own home. You can't implement African artifacts if that's not if that's not their home setting that they're looking for. You have to be willing to listen to other people's wants and their needs, not your own, because it's not your house.
So in other words, you take other people's ideas and then you create a vision for what they're thinking.
Yes.
Sounds like a cool job. It sounds like a cool job. So you're an artiste. You're an actual artist.
Because you have to go and find these things, or I DIY some stuff in order to make it possible. That's another different thing about me. I can DIY it. That's if they're willing for that.
What separates Butterfly Concepts from like the status quo, any other designer?
And that I do again say that it goes back to I introduce myself also as a DIYer for people, because if it saves you money, then let's do that. But I'm also the feng shui. I put that within there to give it a good harmony for the place, for the space, balance, and the function. A lot of people, and some people, if they're interested or like to do manifestation is also where people is looking for that good luck or that good fortune. Mm-hmm. Then feng shui would be something that kind of leads into that. So
what is, and you open the door, but what is feng shui?
So feng shui, just like I was saying, it's a culture from Chinese. They are all about harmony and balance. So they are always within that good luck and good fortune upon anything. Well, not anything, but in a home or in an office. And I guess for an example, the chi, the energy that flows throughout the space, throughout the home, throughout the works environment. If you have good energy, then you have a good well-being.
So is that something is feng shui something that you like that just goes into all of your designs, or
it does?
Like, does somebody have to say, I want that feng shui stuff?
No, but I also make them aware of certain things before I put it in my design concept. So if I'm in the bedroom and I'm having a conversation about someone and they're wanting to figure out how to move their furniture around, and then my suggestion is, well, I do a little bit of feng shui. Well, I like to incorporate feng shui into my designs. And so I'm wondering if you would like this idea. And I want to know how you feel about this before I am implementing it into the concept. So it is known that your bed should not cross the doorway. That's not good energy. That's not good feng shui.
Why not?
It doesn't flow. It doesn't flow. It's a blocking. So if that bed is right in front of that door, it blocks good energy entering into the room because it's cluttered. There is no free flow in the room. It needs an open entry and not nothing that's blocked. So then that good energy does not come in because that bed is there in the way.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So is that a part of the curriculum when you study interior design? Is feng shui?
Nope.
It's not?
It is not. It is not.
So it's something you pick up, you have to kind of research, study, and pick up on your own.
You do. And I like certain things within the Chinese culture.
So the so you what is success for Butterfly Concepts? So in other words, if blank happens, then you would consider Butterfly Concepts a success.
If Butterfly Concepts lasted over 5 years, Butterfly Concepts is a success, and we have.
Good work. Good answer. Good work, and congratulations. Lots and lots of businesses do not make it to 5 years. So
Yeah.
great answer. Congratulations. And like that was a really good answer. So do a 20 to 30 seconds, however long it takes, do a commercial for Butterfly Concepts.
A commercial. Let's see here.
Commercial.
My goodness. Well, Butterfly Concepts, we are dedicated in creating magical transformation for our clients. And our attention to detail and our creative flair makes us the primary company to offer you that memorable experience and bring your concept to fruition.
So let's just say I just bought a new place.
Yeah.
New house, and I want your design, I want your concepts. How does one go about getting in touch with yourself or with one of the designers at Butterfly Concepts?
Just email us, and we will get back with you within a couple of hours. You would contact Butterfly Concepts, the number 4, the letter U.com, or Butterfly Concepts, the number 4, the letter U at gmail.com. Just fill out just give us the details, and we'll send back a sheet for you to give us more insight on what you're looking for. And then that's when we will do a 15-minute consultation to see if you're still wanting to work with us. And then we will then make an appointment for us to do a walkthrough on site.
So the walkthrough, are those initial consultations, are they free, or how does that work?
So with that,
I hate to be giving you stuff away free, so I'll edit that out or something. But how does that work?
So with the on-site consultation, we do charge for that. That handles our gas travel. And once you then decide to work with us, then it's on an hourly, which is $125 an hour.
Okay. What's the standard rate? What's the going rate for an interior designer?
The $125 an hour.
$125 an hour. Okay. Cool. So how does Veronica Brown in life define success?
I kind of would answer that with the same answer that I gave, because I actually have done more than what I thought that I would have done or even lasted myself. So with that being said, that 5 years and still moving, I feel like I'm still successful. I haven't given up.
So if I could put it in a nutshell or sum it up, success is the pursuit of something a relentless pursuit of something that you're passionate about that never wavers. Yeah. And you continue to progress.
Continue to progress.
Sorry to put words in your mouth, but it's what I got. And the reason that's important is because I've spoken with a lot of people that are like, it's the money. It's the money. Money is, if it's not money, it's not successful. And success is relative. So
Well, for me, it isn't about the money. For me, it's about helping someone being able to function, being able to see what they couldn't see, to be able to know that it's a possibility, to know that it's not the end. Things can be changed, things can be transformed, helping them open their eyes to something that they did not know. And to me, I'm all about helping someone. So my success is if the word of mouth moves forward, then I've done something right.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You're good at this. What is so one more quick random question. In your opinion, what would take a person farther in life? Intelligence or work ethic?
Neither one of those. I would say humility. Being able to learn something that you did not know before and accepting that that growing is all about just going through those failures. If you're going through those failures, that's all about you growing. So being accepting to humility is what I feel.
So humility will get you farther than either of those things you're saying?
I think so.
Good answer. So what's next for Butterfly Concepts?
Right now, well, Butterfly Concepts is going to continue to move forward as of now. For whatever, can I say whatever? For helping in all realms of what's needed. So meaning residential, commercial, universities. We're moving forward to all of those opportunities.
So I definitely look forward to just kind of watching you and Butterfly Concepts expand, and I definitely look forward to increasing the Black presence in interior design. So what, and I won't keep bothering you, but what's your advice for aspiring designers that, let's just say, they're on the cusp of, they want to do it, thinking about doing it, but just haven't pushed the button or can't find a way to push the button? What's your advice to them?
There's no time for coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's now.
You're good at this. So I think that I speak for everyone when I say how extremely proud of you I and we all are for embarking on a field that's so gross, that Black people that we are so grossly underrepresented in. And the just kind of the courage to just do it.
Yeah.
Even though it's like the ultimate taking a step without seeing the whole staircase type of situation.
Oh, yeah.
So we are extremely proud and grateful to see you in the position and doing the things that you're doing and forging a path for others to come behind you.
Yeah.
So, one, I am extremely proud of you, proud to know you, and thank you for such a positive image that you represent.
Thank you.
And before we let you go, however, we might have discussed this, but we ask, so there's a black box segment of the show where we ask every guest to make a deposit of some sort of wisdom, insight, suggestion help uplift the Black community or some segment of the Black community. Mm-hmm. So what would you like to deposit into the black box?
No matter where you come from, no matter what you're going through, no matter how hard it seems, no matter how much you second guess yourself, no matter how much people tell you that you're not going to or can't do, step out on faith and just do it. Just do it.
Thank you again for everything. Thank you for your time and your energy today. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we wish you and Butterfly Concepts all the best and continued success. And we look forward to seeing the behemoth, the large presence that you guys take up, the space that you take up in that industry. Can't wait to see it. Okay. Everybody, Miss Veronica Brown.
Thank you.
So thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening and tuning in. And I would also ask you this. If you, audience, don't believe the false negative narratives or negative stereotypes perpetuated about Black people, if you don't believe it either, please help us reverse these stereotypes and narratives. Please like, share, and subscribe. And let's make good stuff happen. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the We Don't Believe You podcast with your host, Brian McCoy. We hope you feel enlightened and empowered by our show. Please visit our YouTube channel at We Don't Believe You and our socials at We Don't Believe You on Facebook and Nah Don't Believe You on Twitter X. Please subscribe and share our podcast. Peace.